The deep edge of human space was quiet, almost too quiet, like a long breath that never ended. A small repair station floated there, alone, wrapped in weak lights and old metal. Only one person lived and worked on that lonely place. His name was Jack. He was a human mechanic with rough hands, tired eyes, and a calm heart. He liked broken machines. Broken machines did not laugh at him, did not shout, did not judge. They simply waited to be fixed. Jack followed the same routine every day. He checked tools, cleaned filters, listened to old music, and talked to himself. While he worked, space outside the glass was black and endless, full of stars that never spoke back. Sometimes he wondered if anyone even remembered he was out here. But work was work, and Jack did not complain. He had seen worse. Then, one silent night, everything changed. Alarms screamed through the station. Red lights flashed like angry eyes. Jack jumped up so fast he dropped his coffee. A ship was coming in fast, too fast, almost crashing. But when he looked at the screen, his heart froze. That was not a normal ship. It was not metal. It was not straight or smooth. It looked alive. It was shaped like a giant heart wrapped in bone plates, with glowing blue veins pulsing under wet skin. Parts of it were torn. Green light leaked out like blood. The strange ship drifted, weak and wounded, as if it had crawled across space just to reach him. Jack whispered, "What in the world?" The station shook as the living ship docked itself without asking permission. The metal groaned as if something heavy and angry had gripped it from the outside. The lights flickered. For one moment, everything went still. Then he heard it. Not metal. Not machine. Crying. Soft, scared crying, echoing through the walls. Jack grabbed his tool belt and helmet and moved toward the docking bay. Every step felt heavy. He was not a soldier. He was not an explorer. He was only a mechanic. But someone was crying, and he could not ignore it. The airlock opened with a wet sound instead of a hiss. He stepped into the alien ship. The walls moved. They pulsed slowly, like breathing. Warm, damp, the floor felt soft under his boots. Thin threads of glowing slime crawled along the ceiling. Jack felt like he had walked straight into the belly of some huge beast. The crying grew louder. He followed it down a curving tunnel until he saw her. An alien girl was trapped in the wall. Living ship had wrapped around her body like a hungry mouth. The flesh of the ship was pulling her deeper, swallowing her inch by inch. Only her face, part of her chest, and one shaking hand were still outside. She looked young. Her skin had a faint blue glow. Her hair floated like soft silver threads. Strange marks like tiny stars shone beneath her skin. Her eyes were bright and full of fear. "Help, please," she whispered when she saw him. The ship tightened around her in answer. She gasped in pain as the living wall crawled higher across her ribs. Jack rushed forward, pressing his hands against the warm surface. It felt like a living muscle. It pushed back at him, as if the ship itself hated his touch. "What is happening to you?" Jack asked. "It is my ship," she whispered weakly. "It is alive. It is bonded to me. It is eating me." Jack had repaired broken engines, broken robots, even broken AI. But never this. There was no manual, no diagram, no button to press. If he cut wrong, she would bleed out. If he pulled wrong, the ship might crush her completely. He looked in her eyes and saw something worse than fear. She believed she was already dead. Jack shook his head. "No, not today." The ship pulsed hard, like it was angry at his words. The walls tightened again. The girl bit back a scream. Green light flashed through the veins around her. Jack's mind raced. He did not know alien biology. He did not know living ships. But he knew one thing very well. Machines, alive or not, followed rules. Something had told this ship to do this. He leaned close to the trapped girl. "Why is it trying to eat you?" he asked gently. Her lips trembled because someone told it. "Tio," she whispered, Someone wants me gone." The ship began to close around her face. Jack acted without thinking. He wedged a metal bar between the folds of living wall and forced them apart with all his strength. The ship shrieked, not in sound but inside his head, like a wounded animal. It tried to push him away. He pushed back harder, slowly, painfully. Her trapped arm came free. The girl cried, not from pain now, but from sudden hope. Jack did not walk away. He did not stop. He made a quiet promise inside himself, firm as steel. He would save this girl. He didn't know who she was. He didn't know why her own ship was killing her. He didn't know what danger waited behind this mystery. But he knew this. No one deserved to be eaten alive and forgotten in the dark. And humans, especially ones like Jack, did not turn away from. Someone who called for help. The alien girl's breathing was thin and shaky, like a candle in wind. Jack supported her gently as the living wall slowly loosened its grip around her shoulder and side. The ship pulsed with a slow, angry rhythm, as if it hated losing its meal. The air inside felt warm and sweet, but under the sweetness there was a sharp smell like rot. This was not just a ship. It was a predator that had chosen its prey. Jack spoke in a calm voice, the same voice he used when stubborn engines refused to start. "Stay with me. Talk to me. Your name, what is it?" She blinked, surprised that he asked. Many people had spoken at her. Few had spoken to her. "My name is Lyra," she said softly. Her voice was musical, but tired. Jack nodded. That name fit her somehow, like a small light in darkness. "Okay, Lyra," he said. "I'm Jack. I fix things. I'm going to fix this." 2. The ship twitched around them like a muscle. The walls thickened, veins brightening to a harsh green glare. Lyra shook her head weakly. "You do not understand," she whispered. "This ship does not want to be fixed. It wants to finish." Her words made the space feel colder. Jack steadied her and looked around. The ship's inside seemed endless tunnels, curving like ribs, soft floors that sank when he stepped, glowing sacks beating like hearts. He saw symbols grown into the walls, not carved living script that shifted slowly on its own. He had worked in junkyards, in war wrecks, on backwater colonies, but nothing was like this. Lyra watched him with curious eyes even while in pain. She had expected a human to panic, to run, to save himself. Instead, this quiet man with oil-stained hands was studying the living ship like it was only another broken machine. "Strange people, humans, strange." "Steady. The ship is bonded to you?" Jack asked. She nodded. "My people do not build ships," she said. "We grow them. They choose us, and we choose them back. It is a life bond. We guide them. They protect us." Her eyes filled with tears. "Mine has turned against me." As if to prove her words, the floor darkened and began to ripple, trying to drag them deeper. Jack braced his boots and pulled Lyra free again. Muscles in his arms burned. Sweat rolled down his neck. He felt the ship press into his head, a faint voice, not words, only a raw feeling. "Leave, leave." He ignored it. Did the bond break? He asked. Lyra bit her lip. "No," she said. "That is why it hurts so much. It still knows me. It still feels me. And yet it tries to consume me piece by piece." Jack frowned. Ships don't just wake up and decide to eat their pilot. She looked away. Silence stretched between them. The ship's veins pulsed faster, angry at the delay. Lyra's silver hair clung to the wall as if even it wanted to hold her there. "There is something you are not telling me," he said gently. Lyra closed her eyes. For a moment, she seemed much smaller, like a child forced to grow up too fast. "I was told humans are dangerous," she whispered. "That humans think only about power and victory. That humans save no one but themselves." She opened her eyes and looked at him again, confused. "But you are here. You help me. You put your life inside my dying ship without fear. Why? Jack shrugged a little. Because you asked, he said simply. Those words shook her more than the pain. She took a slow breath. Then I will tell you truth. She spoke in a low voice, as if the walls were listening, because they were. My family rules one part of my people's empire, she said. I am not only Lyra, I am heir, she swallowed. I was supposed to support a plan for war against humans, but I said no. I said humans should not be our enemy. The veins around them flashed red, furious. They called me weak, she continued. They said a ship obeys blood and command. They gave my ship a hidden order. If I refused again, the ship would remove me, quietly. No war. No scandal. Only an accident in deep space. Jack felt his jaw tighten. He did not shout. Anger inside him was cold, not loud. The idea of someone using a living ship to murder a girl because she wanted peace made that cold anger spread through his chest like ice. So this isn't a malfunction, he said. This is murder wearing a nice uniform. Lyra nodded slowly. The ship reacted to her words. The walls thickened again. A new wave of living tissue rose up and tried to crawl across her legs. Lyra gasped and clung to Jack's sleeve like a drowning person. Jack, she cried softly, will not stop. If it finishes the bond inversion, it will take my mind, then my body, then everything. I will be part of it forever. He squeezed her hand. Then we don't let it finish. She stared at him as if he had said something impossible. No one among her people had stood for her. Not family, not command, not crew. But this one human, alone in a lonely station, said it like it was the most normal thing in the world. Humans fix things, he added quietly. Even when someone else tries to throw them away. The ship hissed inside their minds. A storm of emotion, rage, fear, command, hunger. The lights dimmed. Far away in the living corridors, Jack felt movement, like the slow crawl of muscles preparing to crush. Lyra realized something in that moment. Humans were not what she had been taught. They were not cold machines of war. They were dangerous in a different way. They refused to give up. Hope, small but real, warmed her chest. And the ship, sensing that hope, grew even more violent. The bioship did not stay still anymore. It moved with purpose now, like a wounded animal that had decided to bite. The walls thickened. The floor rippled. Warm air turned heavy and wet, making it hard to breathe. The soft light inside shifted from green to deep red, the color of warning. The color of anger. Jack felt it before he saw it. The ship was awake in a new way. It was not just eating Lyra anymore. It had noticed him, and it hated him. He steadied Lyra with one arm and looked around, calculating quietly the way only long years of hard work teach you to do. He had stood inside burning engine rooms. He had crawled through wrecks in vacuum suits held together by tape, and he knew one fact very well. Panic kills faster than any machine. Breathe slow, he told Lyra. If the ship knows your fear, it will press harder. She tried, but her voice shook. It already knows. We are bonded. It feels every thought. The living wall beside them changed shape. Bone-like plates pushed out, forming sharp ridges. The ship was building itself into a trap around them, closing the path back to the airlock. Jack watched the corridor shrink, one living rib at a time. So the ship was not just hungry. It was strategic. Something like living cables slid across the ceiling and began dropping down like vines, reaching for Jack's helmet and toolbox. One wrapped around a wrench on his belt and pulled hard enough that it snapped in half like a twig. The sound was clean and final. Lyra's eyes widened. It will try to scare you, then it will try to break you. Then it will try to take you as well. Jack gave a dry half smile. It should get in line. Life has been trying that for years. He knelt beside the wall around Lyra and studied the pulsing flesh. Beneath the skin-like layer, he saw bundles of glowing fibers moving, twisting, knotting and unknotting. Nerves, he guessed, data paths. A living nervous system that controlled the whole ship. Does it have a core? He asked. Some place where control gathers? Lyra nodded weakly. Yes, a heart mine, but it is deep, past the pilot chambers, past the learning glands. It will not let you near. The floor under Jack's feet suddenly softened into a sinking pit. He almost dropped straight through, but years of instinct made him jump back, pulling Lyra with him as much as her trapped body allowed. The pit snapped shut like a mouth filled with teeth like spines. If he had been one step slower, he would have disappeared. The ship had stopped pretending now. It wanted him gone. It wanted her finished. Jack pressed his palm to the wall again and felt it trembling, not with fear, but with intense focus. A strange vibration moved through his hand and up his arm into his skull. For one heartbeat, images exploded in his mind. Earth burning, oceans boiling, broken space stations filled with dead air. The ship was showing him nightmares. He closed his eyes, steadying his breath. Nice try, he muttered. Seen worse. The memories of his real losses were stronger than anything the ship could invent. Fake visions could not compete with. Real graves. Lyra watched him in shock. Her people trained for years to resist a ship's mental pressure. This man seemed to do it with tired stubbornness alone. The ship changed tactics. The corridor behind them sealed fully, cutting off retreat. Thick layers of living bone grew across the exit, locking into place. Jack understood the message clearly. No rescue, no escape, only the end. Jack, Lyra whispered, you should leave me. I am already half gone. If you fight it, it will kill you too. He looked at her as if she had said something foolish. I didn't come here for a half job, he said. And humans don't like being told what they should do by a rude piece of meat pretending to be a ship. A faint laugh broke from her throat despite the pain, and that laugh did something dangerous. It gave the ship more reason to hate him. The wall surged again, pulling at her waist, drawing her deeper into itself. Lyra cried out as the living tissue crawled across her skin like cold hands. Jack grabbed her other arm and braced himself, muscles straining. For a moment, human strength and alien flesh struggled in silence. Then Jack saw its small nodules along the wall brightening whenever the ship tightened. Control nodes, maybe. Pain amplifiers. Biomachines hiding inside the organism. He pulled a small cutting torch off his belt. The ship sensed the threat instantly. The entire chamber shook as if an earthquake rolled through its body. Bone ridges arched up, trying to block him. Cables whipped downward like angry snakes. One struck his shoulder, throwing him sideways. Pain flashed up his spine, but he held onto the torch. He cut. The flame hissed, and the node split open with a wet sound. Green fluid splashed across his glove. The ship screamed again inside their minds, not with words, only raw animal pain. The grip around Lyra's waist weakened. It worked. It hated him, but it felt pain like any living thing. Jack wiped fluid off his visor and looked straight into the wall. You listen to me, he said, voice low and steady. You don't get to eat your pilot today. More nodes brightened, gathering power to crush him. The ship was not beaten. It was adapting, learning him as he was learning it. Lyra looked at him with wide, shining eyes. She had been told humans were reckless. She had not been told they were relentless. In that moment, she realized something dangerous and powerful. This human was not fighting just to save her life. He was fighting because something about this ship's cruelty offended something deep and human inside him. The ship prepared for its next strike, pulling in power, tightening walls, flexing living plates. The air thrummed like a drumskin before the first blow. The battle between one human mechanic and a living starship had only just begun. The ship calmed for a brief. Thin moment, like a storm pulling breath before the next strike. The red glow softened, the walls slowed their pulsing, and the warm air stopped trembling. It was not peace, it was watching. It was thinking. It was choosing the next move. Jack used that pause. He leaned closer to Lyra, checking her face, her pulse, the strange light under her skin. She was weaker now, as if every beat of the ship stole a beat from her heart. The living wall still held her legs and part of her chest, but it did not pull for now. "You're fading," he said in a quiet voice. She smiled a tired smile. "I have been fading since the bond turned against me." Jack shook his head. "You keep talking like your story is finished." "It isn't." Her eyes softened when he said that. No one in her world had ever said her story mattered. They had spoken about role, duty, house, blood. Never her. The calm ended. A deep sound rolled through the bioship, not exactly noise, more like pressure in the bones. The veins across the walls brightened. Jack could feel something focus on them from deep inside, the ship's heart-mind, the core Lyra had spoken about. He finally asked the question he had been circling since the beginning. "Why are they so afraid of you?" Lyra's lips parted, then closed again. She looked down, ashamed without knowing why. She had carried the answer like a heavy stone inside her chest since the day the order was given. "I told you part of the truth," she whispered. "Not all." The ship stirred, as if warning her. A few tendrils curled out of the wall and brushed her skin, almost gentle, almost loving, like a twisted imitation of comfort. Jack watched them with a hard expression. "Tell it anyway." She drew in a slow breath. "My people are ruled by great houses," she said. "Each house controls fleets. Each fleet controls grown ships like this. Bloodlines decide rank. I am the eldest daughter of my line. One day, I would have been more than pilot. I would have been voice. I would have voted for war or peace." Jack nodded once. "And you chose wrong by their standards." "Yes," she said. "I chose peace." It was not a soft word when she said it. It was heavy and sharp. She had paid for it. She continued, voice shaking. "Long ago, my house fought humans and lost pride. Some elders wanted revenge. They called humans unpredictable, dangerous, impossible to control. They wanted to strike before humans grew stronger. They asked me to give my name to war." She had been younger then, scared, but she had looked at hollow images of human children laughing with alien children on trade stations, had seen human doctors helping wounded enemies, had watched simple human hands building shelters on broken worlds. "I said no," she whispered. The ship's veins flashed red in anger at the memory. Jack understood now. It wasn't only about killing her. It was about erasing the one voice that could stop a war. Lyra's hands trembled. "A command was placed inside my bond, a seed hidden deep. My ship was told that if I spoke against a war again, I was a sickness inside the house. The ship must cure the house." Jack's jaw tightened. "By consuming you." She nodded slowly. The ship's living wall tightened a little, as if proud of its obedience. Lyra looked up at him, eyes bright with unshed tears. "It does not think it is evil. To it, I am a broken command. It believes it is saving my people by removing me." Jack stared at the red veins, the bone plates, the living cables. He had seen machines follow bad orders before. A gun did not hate. A bomb did not think. But this was worse, because this ship felt and still chose obeying power over protecting its pilot. He spoke softly, not to Lyra this time, but to the ship. "She is not a sickness." The wall under his hand pulsed once, sharp and angry. He did not pull away. "She is your pilot," he said. "Your other half. You were grown around her life, built to protect her, to carry her through stars. And you are killing her because someone else told you to. That isn't loyalty, that's cowardice." The ship slammed back with a violent pulse that knocked him against the opposite wall. Bone ridges snapped out around Lyra like teeth, and the grip around her chest tightened. She gasped, choking as light burst under her skin. Jack pushed himself up, pain ringing through his shoulders. The ship had heard him. The ship disliked truth. "Stop," Lyra cried. "Half to him, half to it. Please stop." But the core was beyond gentle now. The bioship surged again, and the process of consumption restarted, slow and certain. Flesh crept higher. Her fingers went numb. Jack saw something then. The ship was not only trying to kill her, it was trying to break her will first. If she accepted the command, the bond would complete the death willingly and lock forever. "No," he said, louder now, the calm edge in his voice turning into steel. "Listen to me, Lyra. They need you gone because you are dangerous to the wrong people. Not because you are weak, because you are strong in the one way they fear. You think for yourself." She looked at him through tears. "And you," he added, glaring into the living wall, "are scared. You know she is still your true pilot. That is why you have to bury her completely." The ship thrashed mentally again, rage, fear, confusion like a storm without sky. Lyra felt something strange rise in her chest. Not despair this time, defiance. She was tired. She was in pain, but she was not finished. Not yet. Her voice was small but steady. "I am your pilot," she said to the ship. The wall froze. "I am not sickness," she whispered. "I am choice." For the first time, the massive living structure around them hesitated, caught between command and bond, between fear and loyalty. And deep in the ship, in the unseen core, something old and powerful began to crack. The hesitation inside the living ship did not last long. Cracks in loyalty frightened it. Confusion frightened it more. And like many living things that are afraid, it chose violence. The red glow in the veins turned white-hot. The walls tightened again with brutal strength. Lyra screamed as the living flesh dragged her another few inches inward. The ship no longer moved slow. It wanted to finish the job before doubt could grow any larger inside its heart-mind. Bone plates slid over one another like closing jaws. The air grew hotter, thicker, filled with the taste of metal and salt. Jack did not think. He moved. He jammed his shoulder under one closing plate and pushed back with everything he had. Pain exploded down his arm, but the plate stopped for just a moment, just long enough for him to wedge a metal brace from his toolkit into the gap. The brace bent but did not break. The ship's anger rolled across them like heat from a fire. "It will crush you," Lyra gasped. "Please go. At least you will live." Jack looked at her. Sweaty hair stuck to his forehead, eyes steady and strangely gentle. "I didn't come in here because it was safe," he said. "I came because you asked for help. That's enough. No great speech. No heroic shout. Just quiet certainty." That was the human way she had never understood before. He studied the wall around her again, not with fear. With interest. Where others saw only monster, Jack saw systems. He saw patterns in the pulses, timing in the contractions, intelligence in the changing shapes. The ship was alive, yes, but it still had circuits, only made of nerve and light instead of wire and code. He pressed his hand against the wall and felt the rhythm. Tighten, pulse, tighten, pulse. Every time it tightened around her, certain nodes flared brighter. Pain nodes, control nodes. He remembered how cutting one earlier had loosened the grip. Fine then, if this was a machine of flesh. He would fix it the human way, not by asking permission, but by making it work right. He pulled out the small cutting torch again. The ship reacted instantly. Veins flared. Tendrils lashed down and wrapped around his wrist, trying to pry the tool from his hand. He gritted his teeth and kept his grip. "Jack!" Lyra cried. He didn't answer. He was busy. He burned through the next bright node. The ship screamed inside both their minds, a sharp tearing sound that had no air, only pain. The grip around Lyra's ribs spasmed and loosened. She fell forward into Jack's arms, free up to her waist now. The ship changed tactics. The floor turned fluid beneath Jack's boots. It tried to swallow him like quicksand, pulling him ankle deep, then shin deep, then knee deep. The living tissue crawled up his suit, searching for skin. It wanted 2 meals now. Jack growled under his breath. "No, you don't get that." He slammed his cutting torch straight into the floor. A shock ran through the whole chamber. The ship recoiled like a burned animal, and the floor spat him back out, throwing him against the wall. His head rang, his ribs throbbed. But he was free again, and he still held the tool. Lyra stared at him, stunned. "You fight it like an engine," she whispered. He shrugged slightly. "Everything's an engine. Some just scream more." She laughed again, weak but real, and that laugh gave her strength. She pressed her hands against the wall and spoke, not with fear anymore, but command. "I am your pilot." The ship trembled. "I am not a sickness," she said. "I am not a broken command. I am your chosen bond. You grew around my heartbeat. You learned from my mind. You will listen to me." The ship resisted. It had old orders. Deep orders. But her words no longer came from weakness. They came from identity. Jack kept working while she spoke. He moved along the wall, burning open node after node, never destroying the ship, only forcing it to feel, forcing it to know that he would not leave. That pain would follow every step toward killing her. Not punishment, correction. Sometimes machines did not understand gentle teaching. Sometimes you had to tap the side of a stubborn engine to make it behave. The ship's scream changed. It was no longer pure anger. There was fear in it now. There was doubt. Good, Jack thought. Doubt meant the wrong command was breaking. He pressed his palm flat one last time. "Listen, you big lump of angry jelly," he said, voice rough but calm. "This girl isn't your enemy. She is the one who stayed with you, flew with you, trusted you. The people who ordered you to kill her, they are the ones using you like a tool." The ship pulsed, confused, torn between 2 loyalties. Lyra closed her eyes and whispered, with the quiet strength of someone who has chosen who she is, "I do not choose war. I choose life, and you choose with me." Something deep inside the ship snapped, not physically, in its mind. The crushing pressure stopped. The walls sagged like tired muscles. Bone ridges slid back. The living tissue that had been climbing her body slowly, reluctantly, let go. The bond had shifted. Not broken, turned. For the first time, the ship's pulse aligned with hers instead of pushing against it. She felt it, the warm rush of connection that was not forced, not commanded, but chosen again. Jack stepped back, breathing hard. "Did we win?" He asked, half joking. Lyra looked at him through shining eyes. "We woke it up," she said softly. "We showed it choice." But the victory was not complete. Because outside the ship, far beyond the station walls, a new, larger shadow had already arrived. Asterisk. The shadow outside did not knock. It did not ask permission. It arrived like a verdict already written. Sensors inside the bioship reacted first. A low hum rolled through the living walls, not from pain this time, but from warning. Lyra's eyes unfocused for a heartbeat as data flowed across her bond, and when she looked back at Jack, fear had returned, but it was a different kind of fear now. "They are here," she whispered. "Who?" Jack asked, though he already suspected the answer. "My house," she said. "The ones who gave the order." The red light inside the bioship dimmed as it shifted attention outward. Organic screens grew from the walls like transparent leaves, showing shapes beyond the station hall. Jack saw a massive silhouette slide out of the darkness of space. A war vessel so large it blocked whole fields of stars that it wasn't grown like Lyra's ship. It was half-grown, half-built, armored with bone and metal fused together, a cathedral and a predator in one. Thousands of bright eyes dotted its surface. It was beautiful and terrible at the same time, and it had come for one thing: to make sure. Lyra disappeared. A voice slipped into the chamber, not spoken by speakers, not through air carried, through the bonds of the living ship, straight into their minds. It was calm, cold, and old. Pilot Seed Lirata Varen. Your removal was scheduled. Completion is required. Lyra's breath trembled. Her ship shivered beneath the weight of that higher command, the kind that had been planted deep into its nerves long ago. Jack stepped between Lyra and the wall without even thinking, as if he could physically block a telepathic fleet command with his body. Yeah? He muttered. File a complaint. The voice ignored him completely. Bio unit, resume process. The ship hesitated. Before, hesitation had come from confusion. Now it came from refusal. The new bond pulsed softly, uncertain but real. Lyra felt it like a second heartbeat in her chest. I do not consent, she said, her voice shaking but firming with every word. I am pilot. I command halt. A silence fell so deep it felt heavy. Then the cold voice sharpened. Then you are defective. Outside, the great war vessel began to move. Rings along its hull glowed with slow, terrible light as weapons woke. Jack didn't need tactical readouts to understand if they couldn't control the ship, they would simply destroy the entire station, the ship and everyone in it. Problem solved. No evidence left. Typical powerful people logic. Jack exhaled. Slow and controlled. All right, he said. New job. He looked up into the living ceiling. We keep you alive, we keep her alive, and we don't get vaporized. 3 steps. Easy ones are first. Lyra almost laughed, even as fear shook her. Which are the easy ones? None of them, he said. But we don't tell the universe that. The war vessel opened a channel again. Human presence detected. Step away from the bioorganism. This matter concerns our bloodlines. Jack looked at Lyra. He didn't ask for permission, he answered. She's a person, he said. That concerns everyone. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. The quiet certainty in it traveled farther than shouting ever could. For the first time, the cold mind on the other ship actually turned its attention toward him. You are a mechanic, Jack shrugged slightly. Yes, and you people grow ships. Like children, then order them to eat those children when they disagree. We all have hobbies. The war vessel did not understand human humor, but it understood defiance. Energy built along its weapon rings, gathering into a single burning point. Lyra felt the targeting lock slide onto her like claws. Not just her ship, her. They will fire, she whispered. They would rather erase me than let me speak. Jack looked at the living walls around them. Can your ship move? Not far, she said. It was half through consuming me. Systems are weak, but... She closed her eyes and sent a thought through the new, fragile bond. It will try. The ship stirred, no longer as enemy or jailer, but as wounded ally. Its inner light steadied. Muscles of living hull flexed. It had once followed only one command, obey. Now it listened to something else too. Choice. The war vessel's weapon reached full glow. The air inside the chamber, vibrate. Jack rested one hand on the wall, feeling the pulse of the living ship and the smaller, faster pulse of Lyra's heart through it. Then we don't beg, he said softly. We don't run if we can't. We do it the human way. She opened her eyes. What way is that? Stubborn, he answered. Together. The first lance of energy fired. Lyra didn't think she commanded. Raise hull. The bio ship obeyed. Its flesh hardened into layered bone shield. glowing veins weaving into tight lattice of light. The blast hit like a small star striking living stone. The whole world shook. Jack was thrown to one knee, bracing himself against the wall. Lyra cried out as the impact echoed through the bond, pain shared between ship and pilot, but they were still there. Alive. The war vessel paused, surprised that an already dying organism had resisted a full strike. Jack smiled through blood at the corner of his lip. "That's it," he said to the ship. "You can protect. That's what you were meant for." The next volley began to charge. Lyra looked at him, fear burning into resolve. "They wanted me silent," she said. "They wanted the bond to finish me quietly." She lifted her chin. "Then we will be loud." She reached deeper into the bond, past pain, past fear, to the place where ship and pilot were one decision. "Transmit," she ordered. "Open channels to everyone." The ship wavered, then obeyed. Across the fleet nets, across listening vessels, across worlds that thought themselves far away from this moment, a young alien girl's voice spread like light through darkness. "I am Lyrata Varen. My own blood ordered my death because I refused war with humans. This bioship was told to consume me. It is not sick. It was commanded." Gasps echoed across remote minds. Shock traveled faster than weapons. Jack watched her, tired and proud in a way he would never say out loud. The war vessel's glow faltered, not from mercy, but from fear of truth. They could not fire now without proving her words. Outside, the great ship hesitated in the same way the living ship had earlier, and hesitation, once born, never fully dies. Silence spread through space like a wave after thunder. The message was already out. It could not be pulled back. It could not be buried. Lyra's voice moved through channels, through officers, through civilian nets, through hidden listeners, who had never been allowed to hear anything but orders. Truth had escaped the cage. The great war vessel hung outside the station, weapons still bright, but no shot came. It suddenly had too many eyes on it, too many witnesses, too many minds asking quiet, dangerous questions. Why does an empire ask a ship to eat its own pilot? Why must peace be erased in secret? Inside the wounded bioship, Lyra stood straighter. She was still weak, still trembling, but there was new strength inside her. Not from the ship, not from power, but from being heard. The living walls echoed her heartbeat instead of crushing it. The bond settled into something warmer, something calmer. For the first time since the betrayal began, she felt like herself again. Jack leaned back against the wall, catching his breath. His suit was torn in places. Green and red stains covered his gloves. Pain burned through his shoulders and ribs, but he smiled anyway, small and tired. "Well," he said, "that was louder than my usual repair job." Lyra laughed softly then, covered her mouth like she wasn't sure she was allowed to laugh in a moment like this. Then she lowered her hand. She was allowed. It was her life. The cold voice from the war vessel returned, but something had changed in it. A crack in the ice. "You have violated fleet protocol." "Yes," Lyra said calmly, "and you have violated life." Her ship pulsed gently around her words, supporting them. Jack watched her with quiet pride. When he first saw her, she'd been half consumed and already saying goodbye to herself. Now she stood against a war vessel with nothing but her voice and stubborn courage. Humans knew that posture very well. The cold mind spoke again, heavier now. "Your transmission cannot be undone. You will destabilize the houses." "That is not my doing," she replied. "That is your fear." Somewhere across the network, other ships whispered to one another, not with words, but with pulses of doubt. Other pilots listened. Whole crews listened. The idea that a living ship could be ordered to kill the one it loved. Most crawled under armored skin like ice water. The war vessel made its choice. Pilot Lyrata Varen is exiled. Her bond is forbidden. Her line is severed. Old punishment, old cruelty. Neat words for breaking a family and casting someone into dark space alone, Lyra swallowed. The words hurt. They would always hurt. But they no longer owned her. Jack stepped forward, hands loose at his sides. Good, he said quietly. She didn't need you anyway. The war vessel hesitated one final time, then turned away. Weapons dimmed, engines flared. It retreated. Into the distance, not defeated by force, but by something far more dangerous. Exposure. When it was gone, the station fell quiet again. Not dead quiet, but living quiet, the kind with breathing in it. Lyra sagged slightly, all strength rushing out at once now that the danger had passed. Jack caught her without thinking. She leaned against him, laughing and crying at the same time. It is over, she whispered. Dot shook his head gently. No, it's starting. Beginning is the important part. The ship slowly released her. Fully. The last threads of living tissue slid away from her skin. She was free, truly free. Not as heir, not as tool, not as target. As herself. She pressed her hand against the wall, and the wall pressed back like a loyal animal that had finally been taught kindness after years of harsh training. We stay together, she told it softly. The ship agreed in light and heartbeat. She turned to Jack. You saved me, she said. Not with great power, not with weapons, with staying. He shrugged a little embarrassed. Humans are good at not leaving. She studied his face, every line of weariness and humor and stubborn strength. My people called humans dangerous, she said. They were right. You are dangerous. To lies, to silence, to people who think power means right. Jack scratched his neck. We also make good coffee when machines aren't exploding. She smiled through tears. Will you? She stopped, searching for the right simple word. Travel with us? He looked out through the grown window of the bioship at the wide, endless black of space. Same stars, same dark, but something was different now. Someone needed help. Someone was fixing something broken again. Yeah, he said softly. Someone has to keep your angry jelly ship from eating the wrong people. The ship hummed in amused agreement. Lyra straightened. Pilot once more, but now by choice only. The small repair station turned slowly behind them as the living ship pulled away. A new course formed ahead, into uncertain space, into work that would be hard and long. They would face councils, houses, anger, fear, but they would not face it alone, and far across the galaxy. Mess halls, control rooms, training halls, and quiet. Bedrooms buzzed with a new whisper. Humans don't turn away. Humans don't accept, it must be so. Humans fix what others are willing to throw away. A mechanic saved a girl from being eaten by her own ship, and an empire learned that day that the most dangerous force in the universe is not war. It is a human who hears someone crying in the dark and says, I'm not leaving.